Hi, y'all. It's Brigitte Cutshall with Real Things Living. Today, my guest is Hussein Hallak. Hopefully, I pronounced it correctly. He is
Perfectly.
good, and you're an entrepreneur and the author of The Dark Art of Life Mastery. Can you say hi?
Absolutely. Hello, everyone.
I appreciate you being on and you finding me. We're also different in different parts of the world, but we have more in common than we realize, and that's kind of why I like the idea of Hussein has all this experience and he created a book out of it. And so I guess my first question is what prompted you to even write a book? Because you are an entrepreneur who started all these companies and then now you're an author.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me was that um, I wanted to leave people with something more than I kind of I would say found. I've been through a lot of experiences and kind of learned a lot from it, and it was for me, what I want, I'm obsessed with this idea of legacy. What do you leave behind, and can you leave the world better than you found it? And for me, the thing that I enjoyed the most and the thing that kind of changed my life and impacted it the most the was the books that I read. And and those are the ones that reached me when I didn't have access. I didn't have mentors. I didn't have people to work with and learn from in areas that I didn't know. Uh, I had my parents, I had people around me, but they didn't have the skills or the experience in the places that I needed to grow and I needed to learn. So I thought that the book would be a great way to kind of encapsulate the things that I've learned through my journey and leave it for people so that they can learn from and grow because of it. And it's at the least I could do to repay the people that helped me, who wrote books and didn't know me at all and helped me get to where I am today.
Right, that is so true. We all have a lot of experiences, and I think that's something you mentioned the legacy to pass down to the younger generation. Is that the right word? And because they're gonna experience God knows what compared to us. We're in a different we grew up at the end of the Industrial Revolution, right? So now we've got um what would you call the next one? I know it's a lot of it's artificial tech. Well,
The AI resolution,
yeah,
the revolution.
it is, and it's not going away, and we have to master life, like you kind of meant. I just kind of twisted your words in your title.
Yeah, and
You have to
that's really
master
well
life
done.
in a way, and we all have. That's what my podcast is about. We all get kind of knocked down. Not shouldn't say knocked down necessarily, but how we grow to be the goal. We all want to be better people, and we have to learn from our experiences and our mistakes. And that's something you probably in your book, I'm assuming you mentioned mistakes that you've made and
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're so right. The idea is, uh, if we are to summarize what we're talking about, is that the only way to learn is by going through life. And the learning I'm focused on the most is learning what it means to make a choice and to live with that choice and to make another choice and see how your world and how your life changes with every choice you make. The most of the time we are trained in school, in life, um, on studying and then remembering what we studied or becoming proficient, let's say, in math and let's say other things, which are all great and necessary. The thing that we don't get trained on is making choices and making them often. We put so much on them. You know, we talk about life choices. We think of choices as these things that are big, massive, that we need to take. You know, a career choice, a life choice, you know, a partner choice. We think of those things, And we only associate choices with that. And then when we're faced with a big choice, we're not ready. We don't know. We usually postpone, we usually avoid, procrastinate, whatever, so that we don't have to deal with that choice because we are not trained in making choices. If every day we understand that we can make choices about life as important as a career choice, the choice that you make in the moment right now is actually even more important, because your career choice you're trying to choose for the next 10 years, 5 years, and you have no clue what's going to happen tomorrow. Not an inkling of what's going to happen and how things are going to unfold. So you're actually guessing in the dark. But if you make choices in the moment and you focus on that, still have all of the dreams, all of the things that you're going after, but focus all your energy on the choices that are available to you in the moment and make those choices often and be in the moment, experiencing what the unfolding and what the results of those choices are. You become more skilled at it and you understand, oh, I can make a choice right now and I can change it in the next second. I can, if I made choices are like anything, I will make mistakes. You know, sometimes we choose certain words that we say that hurt the person in front of us. And instead of fixing that and dealing with it, what do? We go into our heads. I was like, oh, I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have done that. We don't understand that you can immediately choose after. It's like, I'm sorry. How can I fix it? What can we do? That's a choice as well. But instead of that, we now have to make it bigger in our heads. Of course, I mean, if we hurt someone, it's still big, but we make it so much more in our head and we're in our story and the person's right there and the action and the choice is available to us in real life. But we go into our heads trying to figure out how to, deal with it. And it's just another way of escaping dealing with something.
I totally agree with what you're saying. As you're talking, I sometimes when I feel a little overwhelmed, I'm not perfect. I kind of tend to overthink a choice, right? I'm sure that's common.
Yeah.
You I shouldn't say overthink, but I try not to react. I think I want to. Does that make sense? I have reacted, trust me, but reacting to someone else's, emotions can weave in there too. Like, I think that's what holds people back. And I think you're right. The school system is probably gonna or needs to change because when I was in school, we had to focus on, like you said, math and science. You still need to understand that. They need to work on some social skill stuff too, right? And
Yeah.
proper communicate. People don't understand. I shouldn't say proper communication, but that is something I think you reflect on. I haven't read your book yet, but reflect on your, I should say, your purpose, maybe. Try to find that,
Mm.
right, in life. And I think from my perspective, as you get older, like me, I want to be happier, right? And so I think about what made me happy when I was young, and that kind of helps you. That's why younger children are more open
Mm.
learning, and they are a little bit happier. And I know that word seems to be overused these days, but I think I like to focus on the positive. I'd say my quiet rebellion is I do focus on positive. I do acknowledge, things that are negative, but that helps you, I would believe, make choices, right? And
Yeah. It's the thing is it's not either or between let's say the school system and what it is. They are complementary. This is a different kind of learning that we don't have. It's not that the school system is not good. It's built for a certain kind of learning that we need. For example, if you want to be a doctor, if you want to be an engineer, you need that. You need to study a lot of let's say, of the foundational elements that will help you do a great job. And because a lot depends on your job, if you're an engineer building a building, it needs to survive, the elements. So there are certain things that are that you need to understand, you need to build on so there is a different approach for learning than the approach that has to do with learning how to respond to life. And you said the reason why we're faced with certain choices and we don't know how to act is because we haven't adopted this perspective that this is a choice, that I I have to be active in my life, and choices are not all choices are made for me. I have an active role in my own life, and I need to consistently participate in my life to learn how to participate. The whole point is there's never going to be a point in our lives when we figured out life. We know exactly how to do, what to do, when to do something, when it needs to be done. That's never going to happen because the nature of life is that every moment brings something new, changes things. So all it's like playing a game. If you look at, let's say, any game, hockey, football, soccer, basketball, you can train and you can be the best player in the world. You're still not going to be able to play the same game again. And that's actually the reason why, what the joy of playing. If everything is the same, you're done.
Or
The
yeah,
whole point, yeah, exactly. So you actually nothing is expected. But what you do is you train, you train, you train, and you take everything seriously, and you try and you throw like 100 hoops in order to get a few in, and that's how you become better. And the same thing at life. You have to take a lot of chances in life. You have to try different things. And they don't have to all be, pivotal choices. They can be simple choices. Not every player in a basketball, let's say, game, they don't start playing the championship. They start with, like shooting some hoops with the friends. So if you're aware of your life in that way, and you think of the choices you make, even the choices that have to do with what sort of ice cream do you want to, choose? You see people standing in line in a Starbucks or picking ice cream, and they take him forever to choose. Do I want this or that? And and the same thing they do in life. And I don't mean like those people in particular. Please don't talk to them and tell them. Sometimes we do that, because we don't have intentionality. I walk into a place and I don't have intentionality, and then I'm faced with a choice at the moment, and I act as if the choice of that drink is going to define my experience for the rest of the day. You know what? You can choose that drink right there and then. And if you don't like it, you can come back to I mean, Starbucks gives you just like life in a way. You can come back and say, "Hey, I didn't like it. Can you change it for me?" I mean, come on. That's alone is incredible. You can do the same in life, because most of small choices do not carry a lot of risk with them. Like choosing what to eat or choosing where to spend an afternoon or something like that. But we act as if, and we kind of burden them more, or we carry the choice as if it is like this incredible choice that if we do it wrong, and what we do, let's say we choose a place to go, and we go and we don't like it. What we do, instead of choosing to a different place and going to that place, we should have changed, we should have chosen, like, next time I'll do better. And that's what we do. And we feel like we're stuck in it. And you're not stuck. You can just, stand up and go. And this is something that sounds so simple, but it's so profoundly important in your life, because once you train yourself on the idea that when I make a choice and I don't want the outcome, I can make a different choice and I can change my life in the moment. I don't have to be stuck. Sometimes you are truly stuck because there are certain things out of your hand. But the things that are in your hand, you can make those choices, make them again and again and again. You become proficient, you become faster, you trust your brain more, just like how you see players play faster and becomes instinctual for them. They don't even have to look at where they throw the ball and it goes in, because they've done it so many times. That is what I'm trying to bring to life, to approach it like a game, and to approach it in such a way that you can make several choices constantly and become so proficient at it, because that's what you've been doing throughout our lives. That's what we've been doing as kids. We just keep poking around, discovering. All of our life is discovery. And you said something about being a kid, and that's the moment of discovery, the joy of discovery. We bring that to our life that we live right now. It's going to be incredible, and that's what I wish for people.
right. As you're talking, it made me think of the word curiosity. I think we should be open to more to asking questions, but and then just reflecting on the answers. We all have, like you said, if you have a tough choice to make, like something major, um, you should get multiple opinions or some be with the curiosity. I think that helped me in certain situations in my life. but you have to go to people you trust, right? Not just a random person on the road, but that you just got to respect everybody's, you know, experience. Everybody has had something we don't know what they've dealt with, but
Mm.
mentioned earlier, like not we didn't like having mentors. That's a word that's been used a lot more lately. But I've gone to like specialists, like if I had a health issue, I had multiple because I was curious, getting opinions because they didn't know what to do. And but it helped my decision, my choice based on speaking to these different experts. How's that? I should say expert, but again, it depends on the situation. And I like this simple
Yeah.
effect as well. As another term related, like the butterfly, like little small flapping your wings a little bit. Is that the right word? And right to drastic or fast change happens in our life, but I think you can deal with it if you step back a little bit and be curious.
Mm.
Children are curious.
Yeah, of course, 100%. I love what you said that because it is those these are those kind of small things that kind of accumulate um, throughout our lives. For example, you know, we enter into university. The sunken cost fallacy is very present in this, where you go into university, you study 4 years, let's say a certain discipline, and now you're graduating, or been working in a field for several years, and now it's changing because of AI or something like that, and you feel stuck. You don't choose differently. You don't change. And he said, well, if I change right now, I'll lose all of these years of experience or all of these years that I've worked. So you end up living a life with limited choices because of a choice you made in the past. Instead of saying, well, maybe I was wrong, or maybe that choice kind of ran its course. Now I need to make a different choice about a different trajectory that I want from my life. As long as you're coming from the place where I am choosing this because I have the power of choice, and I don't have to know everything's going to happen. That's the other thing. We want to know so much the future, which is a very natural thing, by the way. Nothing wrong with that. The problem is we can't.
Right.
So we want it so bad that we start to believe things. We start to believe ourselves, you know, we start to believe our vision of the future as if it's reality. There's nothing wrong with having a vision of the future that you want for yourself. The problem is when you start treating it as if it's reality, as if it's going to happen. You want to make it happen, but that doesn't mean it's going to happen. You have to deal with what's happening in the moment. So have all the dreams that you want, have all of the stuff that you wish for yourself. Just don't mix them between that and what's reality, because then you're going to have, like, you're trying to make a choice for where you are, and in your head, you're somewhere different. That's the difference between somebody who's in flow in the game. You know, they even say it, I think, like, keep your head in the game, basically. And that's that's what they say, because you need your head in the game of life, in order to make choices in the game, in order to change things in reality. Sometimes we adopt somebody else's vision of the future. You know, we hear right now everybody's telling us how the world's going to be, and we believe that, and we end up acting as if, and we become a self-fulfilling prophecy, where we actually start surrendering that, oh, AI is going to take over the world, you know, my work is not needed, and so on and so forth. I'll give you a simple example. Let's talk about anime, you know, the art of people drawing, let's say, Japanese drawings and stuff like that. These are things that still till today, somebody can come up as an artist and draw something new and completely take over the industry. This can happen. Has nothing to do with AI. Doesn't mean you have to stop being an artist just because AI can produce, let's say, an image or two. That is a choice for yourself. Building community is a choice for yourself. But some people say, well, there's no need to study art anymore because AI is taking over art. Well, maybe people are interested in the art that you're going to create, if
Right.
you're willing to create it. And you have no idea, even if there was no AI, and whether you're given all the opportunity, if you take on art, that you're gonna have this illustrious career that you now given up on because AI is happening. You see what I mean? Like, nobody could have guessed if you're going to become this famous person. You could have easily not become anything. But what you missed out on is the joy of doing art because you love it, because you choose to. And that's what you've given up on just because you couldn't have that vision that you made up totally in your head.
Right. AI is not going anywhere. And we have to, I use it to help summarize things and I ask it questions. I'm being polite to it because just in case I'm not yelling at, when I'm typing, but
Yeah, because when they come back as robots, we don't want them to kill us, right?
it's Brigitte. And she was really nice to us. But right, like you said, you just like one of the arts I like to do, I like to cook. Some people think that's weird, but I find it, I find joy in it. Because it's being creative. And a robot, I'm sorry, or AI is not going to be, they don't understand the emotions behind the taste of something.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how, you know, it's not going away. It's been here for a while. We just haven't been aware of it, or people choose to not be aware of it,
Well,
right?
let me ask you, may I ask you something, Brigitte? Like if let's say AI figured out cooking and they created the perfect cook, does that take away the joy of you cooking?
No.
I mean, there are cooks that are better than you in the world. There
Yes.
are Michelin cooks, whatever. Everybody cooks. That doesn't take the joy of you
No,
cooking.
that's kind of how we like you're right. We have to look at it. I find joy in it. And I do try out different restaurants, local restaurants, just I like to try it out. And because I'm respecting what they're doing, that it's a skill, right? And cooking as just as an example. There's just so many the artist stuff. That to me, cooking is an art. And I don't know why some people hate to cook. Whatever, that's fine. They can have the robot do it for them. But I find joy in it. I find joy in, I don't know, in music. People are worried about
Yeah.
taking over music. But if you like playing an instrument or singing, the AI can't take away that joy, right? And I think in the studios, they have what is it? Not should say software that helps edit it anyway. People aren't realizing it, right? And that's why I prefer a live concert or live music, even on a video, because it you can see the joy coming out of the artist or musician, whatever you want to call it. But there's just right. We have to like it. This the mindset. We have to think about this and frame it correctly, and we're not ignoring it, right? But you're just, I think, accepting it to help you move forward. And again, we don't know what kind of change is going to happen next year, right? We don't know. And I just think that the little steps is going to be helping us get there and accepting it. And everybody's situation is different. Just like another thing I just thought of, sorry, this is kind of weird, but like when someone dies, right? That's a tough change. That's someone that's close to you. Who knows?
Mm.
AI can help that. You're still gonna. But what I did when my stepfather died, I was like, whoa, shocked. It was an unexpected thing, and I gathered all these stories about him, and I put it together in a book.
Mm.
Everybody liked it because it was a different perspective from a girl writing about this military badass. Right? But he had such a gentle heart too.
Mm.
I, but I learned all these, but that's not something like your book. We should be open to that, not be afraid to share stories. Whether it's dark or whether it's light, some people likes different genres. And I don't think like AI, people freak out about AI taking over writing, right? It still needs an editor. It really truly does. Because it doesn't understand the human
Mm.
feeling. Is that the right word? Um,
Yeah, it doesn't. I mean, AI spits out like a full article in minutes,
yes.
and some of it is really good. But the idea is the same thing I felt about AI art in the sense that the idea is not the thing itself. Like the thing has, I would say, the makeup, just like when it spits out, let's say, um, some of these avatars, it has the makeup of a person. It looks like a face, it has a voice, it says words, but I'm never wondering, I wonder what it's thinking, like it's kind of like a toy, it's like or you're playing a game. And I'm never wondering what the character there is thinking. Now it's very real because I'm engaged and I'm engaged with it, but uh, they don't have a perspective on life that I'm interested in because they haven't experienced life. And the reason I see art, the reason I would come on your podcast, because all the information is there. I can ask ChatGPT to summarize anything. Hey, I want to learn about this topic, I don't know, breathing or choices in life. And it will spit out any summary, and it will summarize, let's say, the wisdom of, let's say, millennia of human existence. But I want a real person. I want somebody who, when they made a mistake, it cost them.
Yes.
You had people on your podcast where life happened to them, and how they dealt with it is what I'm interested in. I'm not interested with an AI's articulation, even if it sounds nice, because they haven't lived that life. I
Right.
can't empathize with them. I can't, like they can tell me a lot of wisdom. It's like, yeah, that sounds really great, but how do I, like, you don't even understand what that means. And I think that can never be solved. And we don't have to think of it as solved. I want to listen to real people. I want to spend time. And this is why, people would listen to podcasts. There's there's nothing to be learned that we haven't learned yet. And it's not, let's say, documented. I mean, we live probably, just if we take the videos that are produced in this minute, we will probably take a year to consume them. The content that we did. So there is enough content for us to continue without even producing content. So why do we crave this? Why do we connect? Why do I jump on a podcast with you and listen to others? Because we're craving that human connection. Every new human connection, every new story gives us an aspect of life that we never expected. It's like, I didn't know that this person. Of course, I'm aware that there are certain people who struggle through life and discovered something for themselves. But I want to know that person's story. I want to connect with it. I want to, communicate. These are things that are intrinsically, just like the saying, I ate food yesterday. Do I need to eat today? Of course I need. That's what living means. Yeah. So I'm nourished, but I want more. I'm nourished from this conversation, but I want more. I met somebody, but I need to meet more people. These are the things that makes life, in your words, enjoyable. And I never know what my wife would say tomorrow. So I, or say the next minute. So that's why I sit down with her and say, "Hey, how are you feeling?" And that is, I think, it's the simple things. We worry about, AI is very smart and can, figure out, I don't know, space age, and maybe we're gonna figure out all illnesses and all of that. I don't believe, but let's say, but the simple things, even if figured out, just like we said, even if AI cook, I still wanna, a friend cooking for me means so much more than
Right.
AI cooking for me,
That's
because there's expense, there's cost, there's time, there's the choice to be together, there's the choice to spend time with each other. That's what I'm looking for, and that's a uniquely human experience that we crave with every moment of our being. That's what brings joy.
I like that, and that's really why it started. Some of my personal previous experiences, why I started my blog and my first book, and then now the podcast, because I felt real things. I'm not talking about. I want it to be the experiences and the connection and the emotion. I should say emotion, but feelings with it. You want to have the. Some people just downplay the word empathy, but I think it's important. I don't know why they downplay it, but that helps lift other people up. You understand them better. You're not.
Mm.
That's like one, as you're talking about some of the podcasts I had, one of them was a woman. It's just, I think she lives a couple states away from me, but she's fully paralyzed, but she's a writer full time. Her husband died, and then she had some kind of accident, and she's fully paralyzed. But she's still living. She's still going through, and she finds a way to, I don't know. Her name is Rebecca. I can't remember the last name, but that's not something an AI thing can make up the story, because it's just amazing, and it just resonated with me, and that's why I
Mhm.
love talking about this kind of stuff. Um,
Yeah.
it's stories are what connect humans. That's the original human and AI, right? Just kidding. Our stories, right?
Well, AI is nothing without us, right? It just took AI took it just like I remember when I used to there was this I think documentary about Bach, the musician, and Bach they studied their his notes because at the time people when they commuted music they would write their music, so that's how they would. So Bach is one of those people that he would think of the music and write it, and they studied what's behind his music, and they found that there is math, there are
Oh,
equations that govern his music. But does that mean that his music is math? When you listen to it, you'll it doesn't matter. Like these are the things. This is what's behind his music. But at the end of the day, his music matter to us because of how it makes us feel and what it communicates. And the same thing, AI has discovered the relationship between between words and encoded those relationships in numbers and in some sort of math. Those algorithms, they encode certain things, and they know that if this word comes after that word comes after that word, it creates this feeling or it means something like this for us. So it studied all of us and it kind of derived the relationships. And based on statistics, it kind of spits it out to us. But without us, it's up to us to have the feeling. And
yeah,
it's we are the one that described that. And we're wondering that if a book kind of thrown something our way, it's like kind of like opening a book and thinking like, oh my God, I thought of this before, or like you articulated my thought, or something like that. We're connecting to our human production
right.
said back to us in a certain way that we also created. So AI is not like this weird thing. We created it and we
Yes.
fed it our own information and we're listening to it speaking to us back again. It's like if somebody, you know how these artists, when sometimes they throw paint and it means something. Now, it's the same thing. Like AI is throwing these words together. We're making them mean something. Of course, like they're coherent because they're following the rules that we created for language. But when an AI is saying a word, we are the one making meaning. The AI is not making meaning
Right.
because AI doesn't understand meaning. The just like math, that doesn't take away from the amazingness of it. Like if we look at the universe, we're making it mean something. What the sun, in the past, the same relationship from, let's say, a cosmic universe, let's say, physics relationships between the sun and the earth. A physicist or somebody who's studying the universe can tell you those relationships in millions of years, millions of light years, minutes, and the distances and all of that. And this hasn't changed for a while. Like this, it takes millions of years to change. But for us, over the thousands of years, we worshiped the sun. We made something out of it. The sun meant different things for us. Sometimes if you're in the desert, you hate the sun. If you're in Vancouver, you love the sun. We're making those meanings. Nothing changed in the physical reality, but we made meaning. So the physics of it doesn't change. It's more understanding and different kind of approach to looking at reality. But the meaning itself is something when I can talk to my wife and tell her, "You're the sun, you're the moon." Does that mean that's the thing I think we're missing is we enjoying or celebrating the wonder and the power behind, let's say, technology doesn't take away from our humanity and our uniqueness. And just because it does something that is similar to what we do and does it better, the car drives us places better than our feet. But it doesn't mean that we lose the joy. Sometimes a walk is worth, a million drives in a car. So this is for us. This is our life. We make it mean what it means, and it's our choices.
I like that. My takeaway as you were talking, the best choice that's coming away from AI is that it's going to remind us that we are human. remind us of our value here on this planet. Some people have pros and cons of that word, human, but humanity is important, and humanity, we need to work together. And AI is going to maybe let us focus more on connecting with others, right?
Hopefully.
Yeah, that's right. We want to connect more. Um, so what, I guess, based on our conversation about choices, do you think is one takeaway people should consider if they're up against a choice, a harder choice than a simple choice? What is your takeaway on that?
I would say three things. First of all, don't wait. Make choices right now. Make choices be something that you're engaged with on a regular basis so that by the time comes, you actually have some experience. The other thing is understand that the best way to deal with the choice is another choice. So it's not, not making the choice is to, and sometimes you can actually break choices down into smaller choices. For example, if let's say you're choosing a career, you don't have to choose what you're going to do in 20 years. You can choose like, what can I do this year? Or what can I do the next few months until I figure out something? So these are sometimes, if uncertainty is just the way things are. And sometimes when you're driving in the fog, you have to drive a little bit to see a little bit more, and then drive a little bit to see a little bit more. It's just the way it is. So instead of trying to make up something about it, make the choice, make it as let's say, as reduced risk as possible, and then see what else you can make when you've taken those few steps forward. And all the best.
I love that. So where can the listeners learn more about you, Hussein, and your book, by the way?
Thank you. You can go to HusseinHallak.com, search Hussein Hallak on Google. I think there's me and someone else who's a professor that's not my name, so it's a very unique name. And my book is The Dark Art of Life Mastery. You can find it Barnes and Nobles, Amazon, and you can go to my website as well and find it there. So hopefully it adds value to you, and hopefully you enjoy it. And I'd love to hear from you.
I think it will. And for those that are listening, I'll include the links that Hussein mentioned in the description, because if you're driving, focus, right?
Yes, please.
I really appreciate your conversation. You have a lot of good energy, and I like that I see you as a good risk taker. I think that's important. I like that. I am too. That's what we have in
Thank
common.
you.
People don't realize that, but I am a risk taker too. So thank you so much, Hussein.
Thank you, Brigitte. It's been wonderful talking to you. Thank you for the great questions and the wonderful opportunity.
Thanks. Thanks, guys.